Hi everyone, my name is Jen Holt and I'm here to bring you a little chair yoga practice. So this practice is perfect for anyone who either is unable or it's difficult for you to get up and down off the floor, or if you're just looking for a gentle practice or something that you can do while you're at your desk. So with that said, also a quick reminder, everything that we do is optional. So the invitation is to always do what feels best in your body, what feels good for you today, even if that means that you're moving in a different way or taking different options or resting out. So yeah, just make sure that you're taking care of your own body, making the decisions that make sense for you today. Before we get started with any big movement, I did want to just have our quick discussion around nutrition. So we know that our yoga practice isn't just about moving the body. It's not just about what we do on our yoga mats or in our chairs. It's about how we're taking care of ourselves, and if you choose, even how you live your life off of your yoga mat, taking your yoga practice into the world. So one of the ways that we can start to take our yoga practice off of the yoga mat or off of the yoga chair and into our world is by being a little bit more mindful about what we're eating and how we're nourishing ourselves. So I thought I'd talk a little bit today about fruit. So we know that fruit is good for us. We know that we need to get 2 to 3 servings at least per day of our fruits. But sometimes that can be a little bit challenging, and sometimes there can be setbacks there. So I wanted to chat a little bit about that. When we're thinking about taking in fruits in a healthful way, we want to try to get in whole fruits. So meaning, rather than buying prepackaged stuff that may have sugar added, because fruit already has a lot of natural sugar, or rather than going for the juices, that we're eating the whole piece of fruit. And the reason for that is, again, when we're buying packages like the packaged fruit cups or something like that, some of those are okay, and sometimes those are convenient if you've got to go somewhere, or I hike a lot. Sometimes some of those things can be a little bit convenient for those kinds of things, but oftentimes there's going to be added sugar, so that's something that you're going to want to watch for. The other thing, if we're doing a lot of fruit juices, if we're getting, rather than eating an apple, we're drinking a lot of apple juice, again, there's likely going to be added sugar. For one thing, a lot of times there is. Even if there isn't added sugar, we want to think about how many apples it would take to fill that cup of apple juice. So if you're eating or drinking, a cup of apple juice, there's going to be a lot of apples in there. One apple, if you've never juiced before, one apple will only get you a little bit of juice. It's not very much that comes out of an apple when we juice it, or one piece of fruit. It's not a big glass. It's going to be a few sips, maybe a little bit more depending on the size and juiciness of the fruit, but it's definitely not going to be anywhere near a full glass. So if we're drinking a full glass of fruit juice, we're getting a whole lot of the natural sugar that's in our fruit, but we're not getting the fiber that we get when we eat our fruits, and we're not really having a good idea of exactly how much of the apple or whatever fruit juice that we're having. It's difficult to know really how much we're getting in that glass, but we know that we're getting a lot more than 1 or 2 or 3 pieces of fruit. So it's just something to keep in mind, that it's definitely helpful to make sure that you're getting in your fruits and vegetables. We want to do that to make sure that we're getting in all of our nutrients, but we want to do so in a smart way that makes sense. So choosing whole fruits over, the prepackaged things or the juices is going to be usually a little bit more nutritious for us. We'll get all of the benefits of the fruit and not just the sugar. So with that said, that's just one idea of how you can take your yoga practice from the chair or the mat into your life, being mindful about what you're taking in and how you're nourishing your body. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with our physical practice because our bodies need some movement too. So we're going to start, and you may notice that I'm here in a chair without arms. That's for me most ideal because when we have arms on the chair, sometimes they can get in the way. But if that's all you have and that's what you're practicing from, it's okay. Just do your best with what you have. We don't need anything special to practice yoga. The only thing we need is our bodies and the willingness to show up for ourselves. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to scooch up in my chair a little bit. Part of that is because I have short legs, but we want to be away from the back of the seat so that we're using our own strength to sit up tall so that the shoulders are over the hips. You might even see if you can bring the ears over the shoulders. It actually feels pretty good when we can find that. Ankles are under the knees and the soles of the feet are flat on the mat. So take your time to find that. We'll start by just bringing awareness to our arms and our shoulders. So oftentimes, particularly when we're stressed or anxious, the shoulders might start to creep up to the ears. We're going to see if we can just start to allow them to soften down. Notice where they are at today and just see if you can allow them to soften down. Think about allowing the shoulder blades on the back body to just kind of slide or glide down. And if you don't feel that today, that's okay. Just think about softening the shoulders, the arms down. We're going to take our awareness then to the spine. So noticing if you're in this sort of shape where the shoulders are coming forward and your back is rounding a little bit, and looking to see if you can sit up out of that. So again, shoulders are over the hips and we're seated upright, up tall without rounding the spine. You can allow your hands to rest anywhere on the knees, the thighs, by your side, anywhere that feels good today. If it feels safe and comfortable, you can start to allow those eyes to close so that we can bring our awareness, our focus a little bit more inward on our internal selves. So you might just start by scanning the body and just noticing how it feels to be in your body today. Noticing what parts of the body have sensation right now. And where you have sensation, what does that sensation feel like? What kind of sensation is arising for you? Beginning to notice the breath without trying to effort to change it or shape it. Just starting to become aware of how you're breathing. Noticing if it's a little fast or a little slow. Noticing if it's deep or a bit shallow. Not trying to judge it, letting go of judgment and expectation, and looking to see if we can enter into that space of observation, like a third-party observer, like as if you're watching someone else breathe. So you're not attaching to it. You're not judging it. You're not expecting. You're not resisting or persisting. You're just watching the breath. Whenever it feels right for you, we're going to see if we can deepen that breath by inviting in a little bit more air on the inhale. See if you can fill the lungs a little bit more. Then on the exhale, looking to see if you can empty the lungs a little more fully. Deep, full breaths in through the nose, feeling the expansion of the rib cage. And full, complete exhale, allowing all the air to release from the lungs. Big, full breaths in. You might imagine that you're filling your body with air just like a big balloon. And then on the exhale, imagining that you're emptying that balloon all the way out. We'll take just a few more breaths here, just starting to watch and witness that breath. We're going to start to add a little bit of movement to that breath. So you can choose to keep your eyes closed, or you can blink them open whenever it feels right. We're going to start to find a little bit of movement through the shoulders. So on the next inhale, we're just going to start to squeeze the shoulders up towards the ears. Then as you exhale, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, bringing the shoulders back behind us, and then we'll allow them to round back down. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale, bring the shoulders up, squeeze them up towards the ears. Then as you exhale, we're going to squeeze the shoulder blades back together as we drop the shoulders down. 2 more. Inhale, bring them up. Exhale, squeeze them back as you lower them down. 1 more. Bring the shoulders up. And then as you exhale, we'll squeeze them back as we allow them to drop down. Nice job. On the inhale, we'll circle arms around and up, reaching fingertips up towards the ceiling. Then on the exhale, we're going to bring the arms forward and down. Think about allowing the arms to come down softly and slowly. We'll do that again. Inhale, circle around and up. Make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up as you bring the arms overhead. Then on the exhale, the arms come forward and down. Try to make it happen slowly and with control. 1 more like that. Inhale, arms come around and up. Watch the shoulders. They're staying right where they're at. Then on the exhale, arms come forward and down, moving slowly and with control. Now we're going to reverse that. So on the inhale, arms come forward and up. And on the exhale, they'll drop down by the sides with control. So notice I'm not moving fast, taking slow, controlled movements. Inhale, arms come forward and up. Exhale, down and around with control. 1 more like that. Inhale, arms come forward and up. Exhale, down by our sides with control. I'm going to mirror you here. So we're going to keep the right arm where it's at. You might even reach the fingertips down a little bit. If you'd like a gentler variation, you can also bring the right hand onto the lap. We're going to start to circle that left arm around and up, bringing the left fingertips up towards the ceiling, but making sure we're not bunching the shoulder up to the ear. There should be lots of space between the shoulder and the ear. We'll take a moment, if you're reaching the right hand, to reach arms in opposite direction, almost feeling as though our arms are getting a bit longer. Then on the next exhale, we're going to create a little bit of a side bend by bringing that left arm over the ear. And it could stay straight or it could bend a little bit. Honor yourself. On the next inhale, let's extend back up. Then on the exhale, we'll release the arm back down with control. We're going to do the other side. So taking whatever variation you took, the fingertips of the left hand might be reaching down, or they could be resting on your thigh. On the inhale, we're going to circle that right arm around and up. Check and make sure the shoulder's not bunching up. There's lots of space here between the shoulder and the ear. Pausing here if that left hand is reaching to reach arms in opposite directions. Then on the exhale, we'll bring the arm over the ear. It could stay a little bit straight or it could bend. Take care of yourself, modify as much or as little as you need. On the next inhale, we'll think about extending back up. And on the exhale, we'll release the arm back down with control. Let's bring the hands into the lap. So we're going to do a little bit of our cat-cow movement. I'm going to turn to my side so that you can see me. You can stay right where you're at. So on the next inhale, we're going to create a little bit of an arch through the spine by lifting the chest up. Think about rounding through the back body. The gaze can go up if that's okay on your neck. Just watch those shoulders, make sure they're not bunching up. As you exhale, we're going to round the back. So we're going to do that by tucking the chin in and thinking about making a C shape here through the spine. On the inhale, we'll lift up into our cow pose. Think about reaching the chest up. You can look up or forward. Take care of your neck. On the exhale, we'll round the back. Gaze goes down. Let's do 3 more at your own pace. So you can start to move with your own breath here and just check it out. See how it feels to move with your breath. When we link our breath to our movement, this tends to be very calming for our nervous system. Let's do 1 more. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, we're going to meet in our neutral seat, sitting up nice and tall. We'll take a little twist from here. So on the inhale, we're going to bring the arms back up overhead, reach up through the fingers, but make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. On the exhale, we're going to come into our twist. So I'm going to mirror you. Right hand comes to left knee or thigh, and left hand comes back behind you. Think about sitting up nice and tall, shoulders dropping down away from the ears. The gaze can go back over that back shoulder if that's appropriate today. On the next exhale, let's release, unwind. If you like, you can bring the arms back overhead. Keep them down if you like. Then on the exhale, we're just going to take our twist on over to the other side. Think about lifting up out of that lower back as you inhale. If it's appropriate, on the exhale, you can explore a little bit more depth in your twist, always taking care of yourself. Then as you're ready to release, we're going to come back into the center. We'll move through a few of our chair sun salutes, and then I'll give you a standing variation for any of those of you tuning in that would like to stand up. So just starting to get the breath flowing and get the body moving a little bit. On the inhale, we're going to start by circling arms around and up, but make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. On the exhale, we're going to bend the elbows out wide. So let's just take a moment here to dial this in a little bit. The palms should be facing toward me. Think about keeping the elbows a little bit high, but dropping down through the shoulders so the arms are active. You could squeeze the shoulder blades together a little bit to open up through the chest, getting a little bit of a stretch through the pectoral muscles here. Let's take 1 more inhale. See if you can sit up nice and tall. Then on the exhale, we're going to lean forward about halfway. Think about really pulling the belly in. And I'm going to turn to my side so that you can see my back is in one straight line. So we don't want to round the back here. On the next exhale, we're going to come out of this by bringing the hands down to the knees. And you can start to fold forward, bringing the belly a little closer to the thighs. So you can choose to hold here for your forward fold, or you could melt down a little bit lower. On the next inhale, we're going to come up about halfway, looking to see if we can lengthen out the spine a little bit more, reaching the top of the head away from the tailbone. Then on the next exhale, we'll fold again. This time you can choose to fold even deeper. If you'd like to explore that, you can allow the hands to slide down the legs, and maybe they can find the lower leg or the ankle. You might take an extra breath here just to shake the head, yes or no. Soften those shoulders down, make sure they're not bunching up. When you're ready to move on, we're going to slide the hands back to the knees or the thighs if they've left, and think about pulling the belly into the spine to activate the core on the way up to help protect our back. We're going to do that again a little bit faster this time. Inhale, we'll circle arms around and up. Make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. On the exhale, we're going to bend the elbows. Try to keep the elbows high and the shoulders low. On the next exhale, we're going to think about strongly pulling the belly in as we lean forward halfway. Remember, our back is long and straight. On the exhale, the next exhale, we're going to plant the hands down, and you can explore that forward fold so the belly comes down to the thighs. Any amount is okay. You can allow the back to round a little bit. Then on the inhale, we're going to find more length through the spine. Reach the top of the head and the tailbone in opposite directions. Think about finding that long, straight spine. Then on the exhale, we'll fold forward again. Hands can stay on the knees or thighs, or they can drip down. That's up to you. On the next inhale, we're going to make our way all the way back up. Use hands on the knees if you need, or you can float them up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bring the hands down to the heart. Let's do that again. Inhale, we'll circle arms around and up. Make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. Exhale, we'll bend the elbows, drop down through the shoulders. Think about sitting tall on your inhale. On the next exhale, we'll come forward. Keep that back long. Take an inhale here. On the next exhale, we're going to start to fold forward. Inhale, come up about halfway. See if you can find that space, reaching the top of the head away, long spine. Then on the exhale, we'll fold a little bit deeper. Inhale, we're going to come all the way back up. Arms can come up overhead if you choose. Exhale, hands come down to the heart. Nice job. Soften shoulders down away from the ears. Let's get into the legs and the feet a little bit to prepare ourselves to stand for any of those of you watching that would like to stand up today. So we'll start with a little bit of strengthening through the legs and the hips. So you can hold on to the sides of the chair if you need. We're just going to think about sitting up nice and tall and see if you can bring the right knee up and in a little bit. So there's lots of core engagement that's happening here. I'm also using the strength of my leg to lift it up. On the next exhale, make sure you're keeping your back straight. We're going to drop that right knee down, and then we're going to try with the left. Bring the left knee up any amount. You can have your toes on the ground here, and we're still working. If it's available, maybe the foot can come all the way up, but keep that back really long and strong. So we're using some core engagement. Then on the exhale, we're going to release that back down. Nice job. Let's give our belly, our abdomen a little bit of a break, a little bit of a rest after that. So you can bring your hands to the back of the chair if that's available. Make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. You might even roll them back down. Did you see that action of my shoulders? So rather than having them pointed forward, I'm going to try to take them a little further back behind me. Now I'm set up for a little bit better for my back bend. So to deepen that, I'm going to think about lifting the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And you can even lean forward a little bit if that feels okay. On the next exhale, let's meet back in our neutral center. Nice job. We're going to get into the hip a little bit more. So this time you can use your hands to assist if you like. We're going to bring the right knee in again, but this time we're going to see if we can make circles. And again, you can use your hands to assist here, one hand or two hands, or you could do it without the assistance of your hands, using the strength of our legs and our glutes, our abdominals to make these circles. It's pretty tiring. Let's try reversing the direction. And as we reverse the direction of the circles, when we do these things in different directions, we're helping this muscle right here, the one between our ears. All right, that's getting pretty tiring, so let's go ahead and rest that right foot down. You can give your hip or your thigh a little bit of a rub here, working out all that tension. Then we're going to move to the other side. So remember, you can use your hands to assist, one or both, or you can go hands-free. We're going to bring the knee up and then start to make those circles. and make the circles work for you. Yours may be bigger or smaller than mine. You might be moving faster or slower. That's okay. We're all in different bodies. We want to honor the body that we're in today. Now it's getting pretty tiring, so let's reverse directions before we poop out too much. Think about sitting up nice and tall. Notice if the back is rounding, so we're recruiting some of our core strength here too. And then we're going to go ahead and rest that left foot down. So nice. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a rub. Beautiful. We're going to wake up the feet a little bit here today. So actually, I just realized I wasn't mirroring you. I will mirror you this time. So let's bring the hands to interlace underneath that right leg if you can, or you can start on the left. It doesn't really matter where we start. We're going to start by bringing the knee up so my foot is off the mat, but I don't want to bring it off too high here. I'm using a little bit of arm strength, so I'm not trying to allow my leg to hang really heavy, so building strength through the arms and taking all the effort out of the leg. Now have your foot maybe about an inch or so off the mat. Make it really heavy. Feel your arms working a little bit. And then we're just going to drop the foot down. So as we dropped that foot down, we created pressure on the bottom of the feet. That's great for our feet. Let's try the other side. If it felt like too much pressure when you dropped it down, then don't take this foot quite up as high. We're going to interlace hands underneath the thigh and start to bring the knee up any amount. As you start to make the leg heavy, you'll notice you're starting to recruit some strength through the upper body, building strength through our arms here, using the weight of our legs. So see if you can make that leg really heavy. Check it out. Try to think about having it maybe an inch or so off the mat, but remember whatever happened on the other foot, you're going to react to that. If you want to bring it down a little bit lower, then do so to take care of you. Once you feel like that leg is really heavy, then we're going to drop it down. Nice job. Now, if that felt okay, we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to practice or play with bringing the knee or the foot a little higher off the mat before we drop it. If that doesn't work for you, or if it didn't feel good on the first round, skip this one. It's okay. So once again, we're going to start on the right side, maybe bringing the foot or the leg up a little bit higher. See if you can allow all the muscles of the legs to really relax. Allow that right leg to feel really heavy, and you're using your arm strength, not your leg strength, to keep the foot lifted. You might bring it 2 or more inches off the mat depending on how that first round went. Once the leg feels really heavy, drop it down. Nice job. We've got one more side to go. So find that interlace around the left leg, and we'll bring the knee up. Start making the leg really heavy. So you're using your arm strength, building strength here. The leg isn't working, it's your arms that are working to hold the leg up. Depending on how it went the first round, it could be an inch off the mat, 2 inches, maybe even a little bit higher. Make that leg really heavy and then drop it down. Nice job. Let's take a little bit of a forward fold. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, and then on the exhale, we'll fold forward any amount. I'm going a little bit deeper, but if you want to stay with your hands on your thighs, that's a great option. If your hands are able to come down a little bit lower, you might even be able to bring them between your feet on the ground. But if you can't touch that today, don't worry about it. It's not so important where the hands land. We just want to honor our own body. See if you can soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Allow the arms to hang a bit heavy here. We were giving them a little bit of work on that last exercise, so allow them to relax for a moment. Then when you feel that you're ready to come out of this, we're going to bring the hands back to the knees or thighs and squeeze the belly in on the way up to help protect your spine. Now, for those of you that would like to stand up, if that option is available for you today, I'm going to give you that choice. If standing is not for you today, for any reason, I will give you options to do everything else that we're going to do in the chair. So you're okay to stay in the chair. If you'd like to stand, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and stand. And instead of coming around to the back of the chair today, we're actually going to turn to face the seat of the chair. If this doesn't feel safe and you'd rather come around to the back of the chair, of course you want to take that option for yourself. Or again, you can stay seated. That's okay. So we're going to try a little bit of a standing sun salute. We did the seated one, so you can do the seated variation again if that's where you're at today. If not, I'll show you the standing variation, and don't worry if you're not quite sure, I'll show you the seated variation again too. So we're going to start facing the chair. Think about standing with the feet about hip width apart if you're standing. Toes are in front of the heels. Hips are over the ankles and shoulders are over the hips. Start to notice what's happening when you're standing. Are your shoulders rounded forward like this? And if so, can you bring them up, back, and down to stand a little bit taller? Pelvis is in a neutral position. Make sure the knees aren't locked out, but the feet are rooted to the mat, and we're lifting up through the top of the head. Feel the strength of your own two legs. We're building strength just by standing on our 2 feet. The gaze is on one fixed point, shoulders soft, legs active. Let's try our sun salutes. So on the inhale, we're going to start to circle arms around and up, but be really mindful that the shoulders aren't bunching up to the ears as the arms come up. Then on the exhale, we're going to start to bend the elbows out wide. So notice my shoulders are dropping down, palms are facing forward. So far, if you're in your chair, it's all the same, right? On the next exhale, we're going to start to lean forward a little bit. So this is where it starts to look a little bit different standing. You might bend your knees a little bit and take your chest forward, pull the belly in. If you're seated, this is where we're at. On the next exhale, we're going to come into our fold. So you can bring your hands down to the seat of the chair and stretch the legs up. Gaze is down at your seat, at the seat of the chair, or at the mat behind you. So this is the fold seated. This is the fold standing, right? So let's take a moment to lengthen the spine. So if you feel like it's rounding a little bit, we're going to see if we can find that length, reach the top of the head away from the tailbone. It's okay to have a little bend in the knees. Then on the exhale, we're going to fold a little bit deeper if that's available. So allow the head to come down, the back can round any amount. Press down through the heels to lift the hips up a little bit if that's available. On the next exhale, we're going to start to bend the knees and come up. The arms can come up overhead if you choose. Then on the exhale, hands come down to the heart. So let's try that again. Inhale, circle arms around and up, either seated or standing. Exhale, we'll bend the elbows out wide. Make sure the shoulders aren't bunching up. Take a big breath in to find a bit more length in the spine. On the next exhale, we're going to come forward about halfway, pull the belly in, bend the knees if you're standing. On the next exhale, we're going to plant the hands down either onto our thighs or onto the chair and take that little fold. Allow the knees to bend as much as you'd like. On the inhale, we're going to lengthen out through the spine, reach the top of the head away from the tailbone. Then on the exhale, we'll fold again. Allow the head to hang a bit heavy. Allow the knees to bend. On the inhale, we're going to come on out, reach arms up overhead if you choose. Exhale, hands lower down to the heart. Let's do one more. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, bend the elbows. Take a big breath in to lengthen the spine. On the next exhale, we're going to pull the belly in, lean forward a little bit. Bend the knees if you're standing. On the next exhale, we're going to plant the hands down. Take your fold. Inhale, we lengthen the spine. Reach the top of the head away from the tailbone. Exhale, fold again. Bend the knees as much as you need. Inhale, we're coming all the way back up. Arms can come up overhead, but that's optional. Exhale, hands come back to the heart. Nice job. If you're standing and you're tired, it's a great time to come back to your seat. If you're standing and you have a little bit more energy and you'd like to put in a little bit more effort and work, then I'll invite you to come around to the back of the chair. So we'll work on a little bit of our standing warrior poses. I'll give you seated variation and standing variations. So actually, I'm going to turn my chair to the side just so that you can see me here. We'll work a little bit on our warrior two pose. So I'll show you the seated variation actually first, and then I'll show you the standing variation, just so that I'm not leaving those of you standing in the pose for a long time. So if you're in your seat, and this is where you want to do your warrior, that's great. We're just going to keep the left toe is facing forward, and we're going to take the right foot. You can use your hand to assist, stepping the foot out toward the right. So that was a pretty big step. Yours might look closer to this. That's okay. Just to create the distance between the knees that feels appropriate today. If you're seated and you want to activate the legs more, you can press down through the feet, engage the core, sit tall. Arms could be resting down or they can be out to your sides. If you're standing, I'll show you the standing variation. So you'll want to be behind your chair so that way you can use your chair for a little bit of support if you feel like you need it at any point. So we're going to start just by stepping the feet a little bit further apart. So already by stepping the feet a little bit further apart, you may be getting a little bit of a hint of a stretch or a big stretch through the inner thighs. We're going to take attention, awareness to the right foot, the right toes, and just start to turn the right toes toward the right. Try to keep the hips and the shoulders aligned toward the chair. Your hands could stay on the chair or you could float them off. We're just going to start to bend the right knee, and it doesn't have to be a big bend. Whatever works today, just try to keep standing tall. Hands could stay on the chair or you could reach one or both arms out. So this is our standing warrior two, and this is our seated warrior two. Right? So whatever variation you're in, we're just going to see if we can hold for 3 more breaths. Can you allow your breath to be deeper? Change the arms if the arms are getting tired. On the next exhale, let's go ahead and release. So we're going to straighten through the legs if you're standing, and we'll step the feet back together. If you're seated, you can just step that right foot back into the center. We're going to take a little rest because our warrior poses are pretty exhausting. If you're in your chair, you can slide your seat back on the chair. You could turn your palms to face up and just allow the body to rest. If you're standing and this looks like it would feel good, come back to your seat and take a moment to rest. Or you can choose to take a standing rest by allowing the hands to rest on the back of the chair, allowing the eyes to close, and just looking for a little sense of ease here as much as you can find standing. And there is a little bit more effort to standing, but just looking to see if you can soften out a little bit. This is a great time to scan through the body and just notice how it feels to be in your body here. Notice if the right side feels a little bit different from the left. We've only done one side of that warrior pose, so just witnessing what that pose feels like. Notice the breath here. See if you can make it a little bit longer and a little bit slower. So sometimes when we think about deepening our breath, it looks something like this, right? And when you get the big deep breath, that's not what we want to do. What we want to look for is this. So the breath is moving slowly and evenly. kind of like a balloon, slowly filling with air and slowly releasing. Try to make your breath long and slow. We'll take 2 more breaths before we move to the other side. Beautiful. Let's move to that other side. So I'll remind you what the seated variation looks like, if that's the variation you're doing today. So if you're in your seat, we're going to just work on stepping that left foot out to the left so that the left toes are facing toward the left, right toes are facing toward the front of the room. Your stance may be a little bit narrower. It may look more like this. Think about sitting up nice and tall. Not so important how far out the legs go. You're just doing what serves you best today. Your hands could be resting down or they could reach out. If you're doing your standing variation, you'll start, I'm going to move my chair. You'll have your hands on your chair as much as you'd like. We'll start by stepping the feet a little bit further apart, toes in front of the heels. This time it's the left toes that are going to turn out to the left, keeping the right toes right where they are. Imagine that you're pressing your back onto an imaginary wall, or that your seat is still in the chair, so we're not doing this movement. We're here, so there's a little bit of hip opening. When you're ready, you can put that bend in the knees and make sure both legs are active. Hold onto the chair with one or both arms, or if you choose, you can float one or both arms up to reach arms out in opposite directions. Press down through the feet, root down through the feet. Use your core strength. Feel the strength of your whole body. Find your inner warrior. Then on the exhale, let's relax, release. And we'll step the feet back together if we were standing. If you're seated, you'll step the feet back in front of you. Let's go ahead and we'll all make our way back to our seats. So we'll start to bring things down a little bit after that one. Let's take another little rest before we do anything else major. You might even step your feet out a little bit further apart. You can allow your back to rest on the chair. You can have palms resting down or palms up, and we'll just take about 3 or 4 breaths here, looking to see if we can find that long, slow breath, starting to bring our heart rate down, allowing the muscles to recover and relax after that big pose. As you feel ready to move on, and feel free to rest out as long as you'd like, but when you feel that you're ready to move on, you can turn your palms to face down. If they were facing up, we'll step the feet back together and think about sitting tall in your chair, so shoulders are coming over the hips. You might scooch forward again if that's available, or you could even rotate to the side a little bit. We're going to give those legs a little bit of a stretch because we've worked them pretty hard. So we're going to start, I'm going to mirror you on the right leg, so you can either scooch up and extend the right leg out from here, or you might feel a little bit safer if you rotate on your hips. That gives you a little bit more space to be able to extend this leg off, but my left hip is still on the chair, so it may feel a little bit safer that way. Dial in to meet you where you're at today. If you need or would like a little bend in the knee to help you feel safe, or to alleviate a lot of tension on the back of the leg, then do that. If you'd like a bigger stretch on the back of the leg, then what you can do is work on flexing the right toes toward the face. And as you flex the toes towards the face, then we get that big stretch all the way from the toes through the foot, the calf on the lower leg, the hamstring. You may even feel it toward your hip. If you'd like a deeper stretch, if this isn't enough yet today, then we can start to fold forward. But what we want to be aware of when we fold forward, number one, we want to make sure that it's safe. We want to make sure there's enough of the seat on your chair that you don't feel that you're going to tip out of the chair. If you're starting to feel unsafe, you want to feel safe first. Find the sense of safety, come out, and then you can look for more depth from that place of safety. The other thing that we want to keep in mind as we fold forward is what's happening to the back. If you notice you're rounding a lot, see if you can lift up out of that, and that may mean you come out of your fold. On the next exhale, let's go ahead and release from this if you haven't already. So we're going to slide that left or right sole of the foot back onto the mat, and we're going to take it right to the other side. So you could extend that left leg out facing forward, or you might rotate a little bit in your chair if that's available today, just to help us find a greater sense of safety so that we have enough of the seat in the chair that we don't feel like we're going to pop or flop out. You can flex the toes of that extended leg toward the face if that's available. Don't do it if it's not for you today. Make sure that you feel safe. Check in with the stretch on the back of the leg. Does it feel like enough here? If so, then you're good. Stay where you're at. Just hold here for a few breaths. If you want more, start to come forward. But notice, are you rounding forward? Does your back look like this? And if so, can you find more length? Reach the chest away from the tailbone and make sure those shoulders aren't bunching up. Feel the stretch from the toes through the foot, the calf, the hamstring, the glute, maybe even the lower back. On the next exhale, let's go ahead and release. So we're going to make our way out, and we're going to slide that left foot back onto the mat. Let's get a little bit deeper into our hips here. So we're just going to start to step the feet out a little bit wider. Think about having the toes out in the heels, and your knees may not be as far apart as mine. You may look more like this. That's okay. Just think about sitting up nice and tall, and over time, you might find that you're able to, with more practice, you might find that you're able to get your feet and your knees a little further away. But we just do what we can each day, always honoring our own bodies. Taking several breaths here just to check it out, see how it feels. When you feel that you've had enough of this, we're going to step those feet back together. And we'll set up for a little twist here. So we're going to start, I'm going to mirror you. See if you can bring that right foot a little bit in toward the midline, so it's just a small little step. And then we're going to look to see if we can bring the left knee over the right. If this isn't working for you today, another option is to cross at the ankles. One is not better than the other. You just do what's available for you today. Think about sitting up nice and tall. You can think about resting the calves a little bit closer together if that's available. Notice what you feel through the outer thigh here. You can hold here if this feels like enough for you today, or if you'd like to give your arms a little bit of a stretch, I'll give you an option there too. We're going to start by reaching the arms out nice and wide, but soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Feel that open spaciousness through the chest. Maybe squeeze the shoulder blades together lightly just to get that stretch through the chest. Then on the next exhale, we're going to start to wrap ourselves up in a big hug. We'll bring the left arm on top of the right, and you can take opposite shoulders. Place your hands on the tops of the shoulders if that's available. If not, you just hold on where you can. With the hands on the top of the shoulders, that's a good place to check in and see, are your shoulders bunching up? And can you allow them to soften down? Take your awareness to that space between your shoulder blades on your back body, and see if you can imagine the shoulder blades moving further apart, stretching out all those muscles between the shoulder blades. You can hold right here. This may be enough for you, but I'm going to give you one more option just in case you'd like a bigger stretch. It's just optional. If you'd like, you can bring the backs of the hands together and reach the forearms a little bit further away. So I'll slide so you can get the side view here. So I'm thinking about reaching my forearms away, but notice my back is pretty straight and tall. You could be rounded slightly to create more space between those shoulder blades, just on the upper back. Not like this. It's a light rounding through here. But try to sit tall. Remember, hands can be on the shoulders too. That's okay. On the next exhale, let's go ahead and release. So we're going to unwrap ourselves, unwind. And just for a few breaths, let's take both legs out. So you can open the legs out a little bit wider. You can have your legs a little bit straighter or a bend in the knee. Take care of yourself. And we're going to stretch the arms out. Stretch out through the fingers to our neutral seat. Now we're going to set up for side two. So we'll start by bringing that left foot a little bit more into the center. It's just a small little movement. And we'll see if we can cross the right knee over the left, or whatever side you didn't do last time. Check it out here for a moment. We don't want to rush into the next stages. Just taking our time here. Soften down through the hips. Notice what you feel along the side of the leg. If it's available, you could think about allowing the shins to come a little bit closer together if this foot is way out here. And that may not happen for you today. That's okay. We just do our best with what we have each day. Think about softening the shoulders down and sitting up nice and tall. We're going to give ourselves that big hug again. So on the inhale, we'll start by reaching out through the arms, drop the shoulders down, make sure they're not bunching up. On the next exhale, we're going to wrap ourselves in that hug. This time the right arm is going to come over the left. You can take opposite shoulders if that's available today. If not, you hold on wherever is available. It's not so important where the hands land. We just want to honor and take care of ourselves every day. If the hands were able to make it to the shoulders, it's a great time to check in and make sure, are the shoulders bunching up? And can we rest them down? Feeling that space between the shoulder blades, broadening out. Watching the breath move here. You can hold here if you did so on the other side, or if you'd like that deeper stretch through the upper back, you can slide the backs of the hands together. Notice that my elbows are staying tucked in. I'm not here, I'm here. So if it's difficult to be here, bring the hands back onto the shoulders or wherever you can reach today. Or if the arm bind doesn't work today, if it's not feeling right for you, rest the arms down. It's all optional. We're going to take a few more breaths here in whatever variation you're in. If your forearms are lifted, think about reaching them further away to stretch the upper back. Beautiful. On the next exhale, if you're still with me, we're going to go ahead and unwind, release. You can unwind, unwrap your legs. One more time, we're going to stretch the legs out. So you can have your legs straight, you can have your knees bent with the soles of the feet on the mat. Let's reach out through the arms. You can squeeze the shoulder blades together on the back body a little bit if that's available. Make yourself really big and broad, taking up as much space as you need today. And as you were ready, we're gonna come back to that seat so you can bring your hands onto your thighs, bring your feet back together. Let's slide the back into our chair a little bit, but think about sitting tall. We're gonna take one more twist before we close. So sit tall. On the next exhale, we're gonna slide that left hand over to the right knee. The right hand can slide to the side or the back of the chair. Make sure you're lifting up out of the lower back as you inhale. As you exhale, if you choose, you can take the gaze over the shoulder. When you feel ready, we'll unwind, come back to the center, and then we've got one more side to go. Sit tall as you inhale. As you exhale, we'll slide the right hand to the left knee. Left hand can slide to the side or the back of the chair, whatever you can reach. Sit tall on the inhale. As you exhale, you can take the gaze over that left shoulder if that's appropriate today. Shoulders dropping down, jaw releasing, spine long. Then on the next exhale, let's release all the way back to center. And if you haven't already, we'll slide all the way back into the chair. Allow your entire back to rest on the back of the chair. Or if you'd like, you could even take your legs out a little bit, maybe taking a little bit of a slouch. I know we always want to sit up tall, but just for a few minutes, we're going to look for a little bit of relaxation. You can allow the arms to rest on the lap with the palms facing up, palms facing down, or sometimes it can be nice to allow the arms to hang heavy by the side body. And as the arms hang heavy, sometimes I can feel the sides of the neck and the shoulders stretching and releasing a little bit more. So take whatever variation serves you today. You can allow the eyes to close if that's okay for you. The gaze or the chin could stay lifted, or you could allow the chin to rest down toward the chest. Whatever feels good on your neck, make sure you're taking care of your neck. Starting to watch the flow of the breath here and allow all the muscles of the body to start to relax and release. We're all done with the work. We're all done with the efforting. The only thing left to do is just to be present and aware. If you notice that your mind in the silence and stillness starts to wander to something else, see if you can, with loving kindness, with a gentle spirit, bring that awareness back to your own body. Reminding yourself that this is your time to be with you. Feel your whole body at ease. Feel your abdomen softly moving with the breath. All the work is done. The only thing left to do is just to be here with you. begin to deepen your breath, just starting to bring awareness back to your body. If you'd like, you could start to find movement in your fingers or toes. On the next inhale, if you choose, you could reach arms overhead, reaching your fingers and toes in opposite directions for a big stretch through the body. On the exhale, we'll bring the feet back onto the mat, and if you choose, you can bring your hands toward your heart. We'll take one more breath here together. On the inhale, filling the lungs, taking in all the benefits of our practice. As we exhale, letting go of anything that isn't serving us today. If you choose, you can seal your practice with a little bow. Namaste, which means the light in me sees and acknowledges that same light in you. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one and the same. Thank you so much for practicing with me. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. Thank you so much. See you soon.